What's up, guys? Davenator1, 2, and 2, and today's kind of a deck discussion. I will have a profile for you guys later, so I'll have Ryan stick a link at the bottom of the video so you can just go right to the profile, which I won't do much explanation except a really quick thing run through. But first, I kind of want to talk about the deck. It's kind of a discussion for players who don't quite know how it is, but they went to sneak peek this weekend and got a bunch of cards for it. They want to see if they can make Dark Magician. They kind of see how it works, and I'll kind of do an intro of that. But I'm also going to discuss the main problem with the deck as a deck study. Kind of talking to Konami indirectly as to why they do the things the way they do. So this video is a deck profile and, more importantly, the problem with Dark Magician. Dark Magician is a great nostalgic card, especially when you got a starter deck Yu-Gi First Ed. Woot! This is probably this would be the very first card I ever owned. This specific instant, this piece of cardboard right here. First card I ever owned, because the first cards I ever owned were a starter deck Yu-Gi First Ed when I was a little tiny wee tot, and this was at the top of the deck, so this would be technically the first card I've ever had. And after like 10 some odd years, he actually more than that. Oh crap, what was it? I was probably like, what, 11 or something? So I'm, what, 26? Oh my god, 15 years? I'm so old. Boo! But anyway, Dark Magician, nearly as old as me, gets to finally be in a deck. And you know what Konami did to him? They gave him the Blue Eyes treatment. And Alternate Dragon, it was their missing card on release. Ours is Eternal Soul. And I'll kind of explain the problem with Dark Magician and why that's an issue and things like that. But the biggest thing with the deck is this trifecta of cards right here. Oh, individually, they're all very good. However, they're the main searchers for the deck, and they just don't mesh well, if that makes any sense, and here is why. The only normal summonable monster in the deck, unless you're playing things like Summoner Monk or Kiku the Ghost Destroyer or whatever, you know, silly tech you want to play, is primarily Magician's Rod. Magician's Robe is okay, you probably won't run it, and if you run it at 1. But Magician's Rod's the primary one. And what it does is when it hits the field and from a normal summon, you can add a Dark Magician spell or trap from your hand to your deck. Or all the way around. That'd be terrible. Deck to hand. And the thing you're probably adding is your Dark Magic Circle. You might be adding Magician's or Illusion Magic, depending on which one you have. And this is where I get really, really frustrated with Konami and their intentional deck design to make a deck not very good. So, Dark Magic Circle says when it hits the field, you get to excavate the top 3 cards, and any Dark Magician cards that you excavate, you get to add 1 by revealing it, and then the other 2 go to the top of the deck in any order, which is really, really cool. However, that benefits you pretty much from running a very high spell trap count. Pretty much where your only main deck monster is your Magician's Rod and maybe some Summoner Monks or something just to kind of get the deck moving. And that inlines the problem when your main searcher for Dark Magician is Illusion Magic. A really neat little quick play spell that tributes a monster to search 2 copies of Dark Magician from your graveyard or deck. Awesome, gets your deck moving. Problem is, in a deck where you want Dark Magic Circle to have a high spell trap count so that its effect actually resolves, they give you a search card that requires you to have a monster on board? What? Konami, what the fuck is wrong with you? That doesn't make any freaking sense. And then you have this catch-22 where if you don't have either of these and you open Rod, which one do you search? Do you search the Illusion Magic so that you definitely can get Dark Magicians, but then have nothing to do with them? Or do you get the Dark Magic Circle and hope you excavate Illusion Magic? What kind of crap is that? This is the kind of thing that really frustrates me with Konami. Blue Eyes White Dragon got Melody of the Awakening Dragon. Discards a card, which is not a cost for Blue Eyes because they have so much ways of summoning dragons from the grave. Putting one in the grave is not a cost, it's a boon. They give us a search card by tribute in a low monster card count deck. What is that? Frustrating. However, Dark Magic Circle, as annoying of a search card as it is, when comboed with something like Illusion Magic, is actually probably one of the most important cards to the deck because of its control style effect, which is its second effect. In that, whenever a Dark Magician is special summoned to the field, it gets to banish 1 card. That's really, 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 really good because it turns your Dark Magician into a control deck, like I said. And banishing any card on your opponent's side of the field is really techy because it gets rid of spells and traps and pendulum scales and things like that. So it turns the deck into a really, really neat kind of slow rolling control, which is kind of just fun. The other big card in the deck is your Magician of Dark Illusion. He's like a Dark Magician's shadow, kind of like a familiar, if you will, and he's actually his opposite, his shadow, because his effects or his stats are actually reversed. So most of the time you're summoning him in defense mode. And what his effect is, during your opponent's turn, if you activate a spell or trap, you can summon this thing from your hand to the field. And its effect, the other effect is that when it hits the field and it's on the field, its name becomes Dark Magician. And its other effect is, well, this thing is on the board, presumably, like the first trap summons it, the second trap activates its second effect, is that when you activate a spell or trap, well, this thing is on board, once it's on board, you can special summon one Dark Magician from your grave, which is a fun little combo, woot woot woot, and it gets you some serious advantage. And then since these are both level 7s, you do get your fancy rank 7 plays. Yes. Which is cool because Ebon Illusion Magician is probably the main XYZ that you go into with these deck, and he's really cool because he can summon one of these guys out of the deck. So the deck just kind of keeps going and going and going once it gets moving. Fun combo with this is when you play Illusion Magic, while you have Dark Magician on board and Magician of Dark Illusion, this will go to the grave, you'll search 2 Dark Magicians, he will activate, summoning back the Dark Magician you tributed. Fun little combos like that, as well as Magician Rod's tribute combo to add himself back to the hand, lets you do fun stuff like this and kind of gets you around and loop and all this other fun crap. So the deck, even though Konami has attempted to make it pretty bad, put in some fun utility as well. The last card I want to talk about before going to the deck profile is Magician Navigation. This is a fun little card. I really like the idea of it. It summons one Dark Magician from your hand and then a level 7 or lower Dark Spellcaster type monster from your deck. Obviously, the intent was probably Magician of Dark Illusion, maybe Summoner Monk was a passing interest or whatever, and then, like, obviously a Dark Magician Girl, probably because, you know, she's on the art of the card, in order to set up that one spell card they got when you have both of them, you can nuke your opponent's board. Okay, fine. But in the deck, we tend to do other stuff like, for instance, Knight and Sorcerer, which is the level 2 tuner that lets you play Azure Eye Silver Dragon in the deck, and that's just kind of a trolly little combo. Or you can go into something like, I don't know, Kiku the Ghost Destroyer, which is another fun little floodgate monster, making this thing pretty important to actually getting the deck moving. Now, the biggest problem with the deck, other than what I've already talked about, is the lack of Eternal Soul, a card we're getting not until October in like another Yugi deck thing. And without it, the deck has a problem working. And that is because Eternal Soul lets you special summon one Dark Magician from the field or graveyard once per turn, or if you don't do that, you can add one Dark Magic attack or Thousand Knives, which you wouldn't play. It really slows the deck's utility down and makes it a little more glass cannon. It's just very, very frustrating that we need this card in order to actually get the deck to work. And it's kind of our alternate dragon for this deck, a card that, you know, we really needed on release to make the deck work, and Konami's like, nah, you get it later when the deck's no longer relevant or whatever. At least Blue Eyes managed to get it with some relative quickness, unlike us, which is going to take a little bit while, and the deck's not even tier 1 with it, so it seems really unfortunate that we don't have this card. Alright guys, that was a quick deck discussion, intro to the cards, a quick talk about some of the combos and things like that. Just thought it may be interesting for some of the newer players or older players who want to know how the deck works. Plus, you know, kind of spur some discussion down in the comments about the problems with the deck and maybe some solutions that you guys have actually come up with to get around the lack of Eternal Soul. And without further adu, here's my deck profile and my idea how to get around the lack of Eternal Soul. Alright guys, this is the deck profile that I decided to use. It's kind of fun, I like it, but you know, it still has its problems because Eternal Soul is really good. But the basic idea was that you use your Sacred Swords of 7 stars and Allure of Darkness to banish your Modi and Dark Magician in order to get some draws and then dig and dig and dig until you end up seeing Escape from Dark Dimension, which actually lets you summon your Dark Magician that's banished back to the field, which is really fun, and it kind of gets around the whole problem, and it gives you a ton of draw power to kind of help, you know, dig for Dark Magic attack and things like that. Also, it does run Summoner Monk, Heroic Challenger, Thousand Blades, and Performage Trick Clown to give a really tiny little, you know, rank 4 engine along with Kiku as kind of a tech. This could be a lot of things. This might even be Instant Fusion or something because I still have the Norden in me here even though I can't make it. in order to kind of get the deck moving and pretty much make Emerald. That's the card you want. And then we got Knight's End Sorcerer, like I said before, to help us get into our Azure Eye Silver Dragon. And I even put in Summoner's Art to kind of assist your illusion magic, just to make sure you have a Dark Magician in hand for all of your draw cards. But yeah, that's the deck. Anyway guys, that was the deck profile. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of it and maybe the discussion beforehand. And remember guys, if you don't troll the meta, who will? I'll see you guys next time. Things like this seem utterly stupid. Anyway, what does he do? Other than being a totally worse option than Bahamut Shark, especially with Tree Toad coming out,